For years, Kody Brown has used one very specific, very convenient excuse to justify abandoning his older children. He constantly looks right into the camera and claims he has to be a present, devoted father to his tender-aged kids who still live in Flagstaff. It has been his ultimate shield, his get-out-of-jail-free card for missing milestones, birthdays, and holidays. He built this entire narrative that his hands were tied because Robyn's household simply needed him more. But while he was busy preaching about loyalty and demanding respect from a podium of his own making, a quiet storm was brewing right under his nose. Savannah, his youngest daughter with Janelle, was watching everything. She wasn't fighting back, she wasn't arguing, and she wasn't begging for his attention. Instead, she was plotting the ultimate silent revenge, pulling off an escape that completely shattered Kody's carefully crafted reality. Before we dive into the informed reports and the shocking truth behind Savannah's escape, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the reality TV secrets they try to keep hidden. The signs of this fractured relationship didn't just appear overnight. To understand why Savannah chose the nuclear option of total silence, we have to look back at the exact moment the foundation completely collapsed. It was the infamous Christmas incident. Fans of the show remember the visceral, comfortable feeling of watching a father openly admit he just didn't call his teenage daughter on Christmas. Kody's excuse was a rambling mess about not having a good phone connection or being too wrapped up in the holiday chaos at Robyn's house. But the audience saw right through the smoke and mirrors. Fans quickly pointed out that this single, callous act was the exact moment Savannah realized she owed him absolutely nothing. While other kids might have lashed out or sent angry text messages demanding answers, Savannah's reaction was terrifyingly quiet. You see, Kody operates on a very obvious behavioral flaw. It is the definition of out of sight, out of mind parenting. If he doesn't physically see you sitting on Robyn's couch, you simply cease to exist in his daily reality. He expects his children to relentlessly pursue a relationship with him, bending the knee to get a shred of his time. But Savannah didn't play the game. She absorbed the absolute disrespect of that forgotten Christmas call, and she quietly accepted the reality of who her father truly was. But that wasn't the whole story. What happened next is something nobody saw coming, especially not Kody. Without making a sound, without a dramatic confrontation, and without a single warning text message to her father, Savannah packed her bags. She completely left Flagstaff behind and moved entirely across the country to North Carolina for college. She didn't ask for his blessing, she didn't ask for his help moving, and she certainly didn't care about how this would make him look on national television. Informed insider reports claim that the entire move was orchestrated with military precision. Rumors suggest that Janelle and her older children formed a protective wall around Savannah, ensuring that not a single word of her departure leaked to Kody or Robyn's camp until she was already settled hundreds of miles away. It has been said that Savannah was perfectly content letting Kody continue living in his delusion, proving once and for all that she didn't need his permission to start her life. This silent ghosting created an absolute nightmare for Kody, leading to what insiders call the ultimate trap. Imagine the sheer panic of a reality television star whose entire brand is built on being the patriarch of a massive interconnected family, suddenly finding out from third-party sources that his teenage daughter moved across the country. Kody was completely blindsided. Confirmed reports and exclusive theories from behind the scenes suggest that TLC producers intentionally kept Kody in the dark about Savannah's moving plans. The rumor is that producers knew Kody would try to hijack the narrative or insert himself into the storyline to look like the supportive dad, so they let him walk right into the trap of his own ignorance. When the cameras finally rolled, Kody was caught in an impossible double bind. He was backed into a corner with no no way out. If he admitted to the producers and the audience that he was so entirely disconnected from his own daughter that he didn't even know she was moving to North Carolina, he would permanently destroy his image as a caring father. It would be undeniable proof of his neglect. But on the other hand, if he tried to do it and pretend he had blessed her departure, he risked Janelle and Savannah exposing his lie instantly. Reports claim there were massive meltdowns behind the scenes. It is speculated that Cody was absolutely furious, demanding to know why he was made to look like a fool on camera. But the hard truth is that nobody made him look like a fool except himself. His own out of sight, out of mind mentality had finally come back to haunt him in the worst way possible. He had spent years isolating himself inside Robyn's mansion, demanding that his kids do the heavy lifting to maintain the family bond. And now, the youngest daughter of his most independent wife had proven that she could slip completely out of his grip without him even noticing the breeze. The silence from Savannah was deafening, and it spoke volumes more than any screaming match ever could. It signaled a massive shift in the family power dynamic. Cody no longer controlled the narrative, and more importantly, he no longer controlled his kids. And what he was about to realize next wouldn't just hurt his ego, it was going to seriously threaten his bank account and his entire future on television. But the sting of a bruised ego was nothing compared to the financial nightmare that was rapidly unfolding behind closed doors. You see, the reality of reality television is incredibly simple. No drama, no family, no storyline, and ultimately, no paycheck. Savannah quietly slipping out of state wasn't just a personal slight. It was a devastating blow to the very foundation of Cody's entire TLC defense. For years, his absolute biggest justification for demanding everyone bend to his will was the narrative that Flagstaff was their permanent home base. Coyote Pass was supposed to be the ultimate gathering place, the grand estate where all his children would return, build their lives, and keep the show running for decades. But with Savannah officially gone, a chilling reality set in. Cody suddenly had exactly 0 biological children from his original 3 wives left in town to film with him. His entire on-camera world shrank down to the walls of Robyn's mansion, and according to confirmed insider reports, that sent him into an absolute spiral of panic. Exclusive theories suggest that network executives were already growing tired of filming the same repetitive arguments on the same back porch. The fans tuned in to see a massive, chaotic, sprawling family, not a deeply isolated man pacing around a hoarder house complaining about respect. Savannah was his last physical anchor to the life he used to have, the last remaining child in Flagstaff who wasn't legally bound to Robyn. By removing herself from the equation, she effectively cut off Cody's last organic storyline, leaving him holding the bag with nothing to show for it. The stakes were suddenly higher than ever. It has been said that when reality TV stars realize their screen time is in jeopardy, they resort to desperate measures to secure their contracts. Rumors suggest that panic swept through Robyn's household as the realization hit that the sister wives' money train was dangerously close to derailing. Without Savannah around for awkward, tense meetups or forced holiday interactions, what exactly was Cody going to film? He could no longer play the victim of a fractured family if none of the family was even in the same time zone to argue with him. Exclusive theories from production leaks claim that Cody desperately tried to pitch new angles to the producers, trying to find any way to keep the spotlight on his perceived grievances. But the producers are smart, and they knew the audience was already exhausted by his constant victimhood. The viewers wanted to see the kids thrive, they wanted to see the wives break free, and Savannah's silent escape was the ultimate triumph that the network couldn't ignore. Cody's entire defense rested on the idea that he was building a legacy in Flagstaff, but the undeniable truth captured on camera was that he had built a ghost town. The muddy, empty lots at Coyote Pass became a glaring, multi-million-dollar metaphor for his absolute failure as a patriarch. He didn't just lose a daughter to an out-of-state college, he lost his most valuable television asset. And what happened next would expose the darkest parts of his coping mechanisms. When backed into a corner with his livelihood threatened and his ego in tatters, Cody did what he has historically always done. He looked for a scapegoat. There was absolutely no way he was going to look inward and admit that his own neglect, his forgotten phone calls, and his blatant favoritism drove his youngest daughter away. Instead, he launched a desperate and failing emotional appeal. Confirmed reports and behind-the-scenes rumors suggest that Cody went on massive, explosive rants aimed directly at Janelle, entirely blaming her for stealing Savannah away. The speculation claims that during heavily edited confessionals, Cody tried to paint a picture of parental alienation, accusing Janelle of actively poisoning Savannah's mind against him. He wanted the world to believe that he was the tragic, wronged father whose vindictive ex-wife had brainwashed his tender-hearted daughter into fleeing the state. It was a calculated, manipulative move designed to win back the sympathy of the audience and shift the heat off his own terrible track record. But the audience saw right through the inauthenticity. Fans of the show are incredibly observant, and they have spent over a decade watching the subtle dynamics of the Brown family. They knew exactly who Savannah was, a quiet, incredibly observant, and highly intelligent young woman who had watched her older siblings get discarded one by one. She didn't need Janelle to poison her mind. Cody had done a spectacular job of that all by himself. Viewers quickly took to social media, completely tearing apart Cody's stolen child narrative. They pointed out the sheer absurdity of treating an adult college student like a helpless pawn. Savannah was making her own choices, securing her own future, and doing what was best for her own mental peace. By trying to rob his daughter of her agency and blame her mother, Cody only further alienated the viewers and dug his hole even deeper. Exclusive theories claim that even the production crew found it incredibly difficult to film these rants with a straight face, knowing full well that Savannah's departure was a direct consequence of Cody's own toxic environment. His emotional appeal fell entirely flat, ringing completely hollow to anyone who remembered the heartbreaking footage of a teenage girl sitting quietly while her father couldn't even manage the bare minimum of a holiday phone call. The situation behind the scenes allegedly grew incredibly tense. Rumors suggest there were major clashes over how this storyline should be edited. Informed reports claim Cody pushed heavily for a sympathetic edit, wanting the producers to frame Savannah's move as a tragic betrayal orchestrated by Janelle's rebellion. But the days of TLC protecting Cody's image were long gone. The network knew where the real story was, and they knew the audience was heavily invested in the empowerment of the original wives and their children. They allegedly refused to bury the truth, letting Cody's bitter, accusatory rants air in all their hypocritical glory. This only highlighted his massive behavioral flaw even further. It proved that he viewed his children not as independent human beings with their own feelings and ambitions, but as extensions of his own ego and property of his patriarchal system. When they stopped serving his narrative, they became the enemy. Savannah's silent revenge was working flawlessly because she didn't even have to lift a finger to expose him. Cody's own reactionary paranoia was doing all the heavy lifting. The more he talked, the worse he looked, and the more the world cheered for the girl who had smartly decided to just walk away from the noise. But the sheer irony of the situation was just beginning to unfold. He had sacrificed absolutely everything for the grand illusion of a unified family compound in the mountains, a dream that had turned into a complete and utter nightmare. The financial strain of the Flagstaff move, combined with the emotional destruction of his marriages, was all supposedly done in the name of keeping the family together. Yet, as he stared out at his empty property, the devastating truth was undeniably clear. His actions had achieved the exact opposite of his stated goals. The isolation was no longer just an emotional state. It was a physical reality. As the dust settled on Savannah's secret escape, Cody was forced to confront a truth so incredibly bitter that no amount of deflection could save him. The sheer hypocrisy of Cody's entire master plan is almost difficult to comprehend when you really break it down. We are talking about a man who uprooted his entire sprawling family from a perfectly functional cul-de-sac in Las Vegas, spending millions of dollars to drag them all to Flagstaff, Arizona. His grand, sweeping justification for this massive financial and emotional upheaval was that he needed to keep everyone together. He stood on the muddy, undeveloped land of Coyote Pass and promised a utopia, a massive family compound where all of his children would eventually build their own homes and live happily under his patriarchal umbrella. But exclusive theories and informed insider reports suggest that the Las Vegas move was never actually about family unity. It was always about control. And the tragic irony is that his desperate need to dictate everyone's lives actually became the very catalyst that drove every single one of Janelle's children permanently out of the state. Instead of building a thriving family kingdom, Cody essentially financed his own isolation. Savannah's secret escape wasn't just a random college decision. It was the final nail in the coffin of Cody's Flagstaff fantasy. The empty, barren lots at Coyote Pass now stand as a glaring multi-million-dollar monument to a fractured family. Rumors have circulated that Cody frequently drives out to that empty property alone, forced to look at the literal dirt where his dreams died, knowing full well that his own neglect is what chased his children away. He built a fortress to keep them close, but he made the environment so incredibly toxic that they would rather move thousands of miles away than spend another awkward afternoon sitting on his porch. While Cody was busy spiraling in his empty kingdom, Savannah was quietly experiencing the ultimate reality check, and it was everything he could have ever feared. Far removed from the drama, the cameras, and the constant underlying tension of Robin's house, Savannah completely blossomed. Confirmed reports from family insiders claim that her life in North Carolina is an absolute night and day difference from the suffocating atmosphere of Flagstaff. She didn't just move away from school. She moved toward actual conditional love. She is now surrounded by a rich, supportive family network consisting of Janelle, her sister Maddie, her brother-in-law Caleb, and a house full of adoring nieces and nephews. It has been said that Savannah has built a beautifully normal, drama-free life entirely devoid of Cody's dark, looming cloud. There are no forced family meetings, no demands for loyalty, and absolutely no conditional affection. She is thriving in an environment where her presence is actually valued, not just tallied on a scorecard of obedience. Exclusive theories suggest that seeing Savannah so incredibly happy in North Carolina without him was an absolutely devastating blow to Cody's ego. Narcissists thrive on the belief that their victims cannot possibly survive, let alone prosper, without their guidance and approval. But Savannah completely shattered that illusion. By silently removing herself from his reality and immediately stepping into a life full of joy and genuine connection, she proved that Cody wasn't the sun the family orbited around. He was just an eclipse blocking their light. And the moment she stepped out of his shadow, her entire world lit up. This leads us to the absolute point of no return for the Brown family patriarch. When Kody officially lost his very last Flagstaff-based child, he lost far more than just a convenient storyline for TLC. He was forced to face a psychological reality that is incredibly difficult to swallow. You see, when a relationship ends in explosive anger or fiery arguments, there is still passion there. Hate requires energy. It requires someone to care enough about you to actually be angry. But Savannah didn't give Kody the satisfaction of a screaming match. Her silent ghosting, the way she simply packed up and disappeared without a trace or a goodbye text, proved something far more damaging. It proved that his kids don't even hate him anymore. They are just entirely indifferent to him. Informed reports claim that this absolute apathy from his older children is what truly keeps Kody up at night. He can fight against anger, he can argue against rebellion, but he has absolutely no defense against total indifference. Savannah's silent revenge was the ultimate power move because she simply stopped playing his game. She realized that trying to force a relationship with a man who couldn't even remember to call her on Christmas was a complete waste of her energy. So she took all that energy, packed it into her bags, and invested it into a future where she is the main character of her own life, leaving Kody totally irrelevant in the background. He spent a decade trying to teach his children a lesson in respect, but the only lesson they actually learned was how to survive without him. The story of Savannah's escape is a masterclass in knowing your own worth and refusing to settle for breadcrumbs. It perfectly highlights the downfall of a man who thought he could demand respect without ever actually earning it. Kody Brown built a massive family under the guise of love and unity, only to watch it crumble because he fundamentally forgot that children are people, not possessions. Savannah's quiet, devastating departure from Flagstaff will forever go down as one of the most brilliant, understated victories in reality television history. She didn't have to raise her voice to make herself heard. Her absence spoke louder than Kody ever could. What do you guys think about Savannah's silent revenge? Do you think Kody will ever truly take accountability for driving his children away? Or will he continue to blame everyone else for his empty porch? Let me know your exclusive theories and thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden truths of the Brown family, please make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest reality TV exposés. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.